house. Someone with their sun in the 8th house is going to be someone who's very drawn to 8th house matters, very scorpionic matters. They'll have an interest in the occult generally, information, hidden things, psychology, and an appreciation for things that are hidden. They're generally going to be empaths because this is the house of the empath, the house of the sorcerer. It's a water house. People with the sun here also are very other oriented, similarly to people with sun in the 7th house, but it's a different kind of other. Whereas people with the sun in the 7th house tend to be other oriented in relating. People with the sun in the 8th house tend to be other oriented when it comes to possessions and things that are shared. So you may be well to do with business partners where you're sharing resources in a business, or if you're working with psychology and giving counseling for other people. Generally, they're people who are pretty well acquainted with death. Death has been a part of their experience, and whether that be death through someone actually physically dying, or it could be death through a lot of changes. They may undergo quite a few changes in their life that seem destructive, but they're necessary for that person's evolution. Also, they'll attract experiences into their lives that are very transformative. They may be very secretive, but also at the same time, while being secretive, wanting to know information about the world around them, very curious about knowing things. And these are people who are not going to like superficial relationships. They're going to want very in-depth relationships, with a very rooted quality that's got a soul quality to it. People with the sun in the 8th house don't do anything halfway. They're either all in or they're all out. They're very polarized generally, very passionate and very intense about the way they live their lives. As is Pluto in Scorpio, when the sun is there, the ego can either be explosively huge or incredibly withdrawn and hidden from the world. So people with the sun in the 8th house are going to approach life from a very secretive and kind of standoffish way, but also at the same time wanting a quality of knowing everything about their environment. So knowledge is very important to people with sun in the 8th house. They also have, they tend to have very sensitive souls, gut feelings, and basically a BS meter where they can just sense the truth of a situation, or sense through a knowing, kind of like a gut feeling, kind of people's intentions. So you can't really fool someone who has the sun in the 8th house or in Scorpio or Pluto. These people are very aware of the subconscious currents that run in any situation. So they're very in tune with the energies that flow through any situation. So if you have the sun in your 8th house, you're probably going to be very good detective, a very good researcher, someone who does well in doing business when they're using other people's resources or combining with other people's resources to meet an end. People with sun in the 8th house are also very intuitive and often very intense in the way they live their lives. So if you want to see about sun in the 9th house, watch my next video.